And as they were creating that relationship, and how do you see that relationship being evolved in terms of beyond being companion or colleagues on the war front? How has those relationship evolved? And could you narrate through stories of people as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, it's a strange relationship and it's an unexpected relationship because we have to remember that Australia in 1915 was a deeply racist society. One of the very first acts of parliament passed by the Australian government in 1901 was what became the White Australia policy, to exclude persons of colour mix. And although there was a small Afghan Indian community, basically Cameleers in the outback and Hawkers in the inland, small communities, essentially Indians were not wanted. So you might expect that the Australians who went to Gallipoli would have carried those racist attitudes with them and wouldn't have had anything to do with Indians, or if they did, would have treated them as inferiors. And the strange fact is that they were not only not treated as inferiors, they were respected and admired. So you got the situation where Australians would seek out the Indian gunners' camp and the Indian muleteers who were in the supply and transport units, and mixed with them, communicated with them as best each of them could, because neither could speak the other's language, but they could speak each other's food languages. So the food on Gallipoli for everyone was appalling. The Australians' diet was basically what they called bully beef, which was canned meat and biscuit, very hard biscuit, unpalatable. The Australians would go to the Indian gunners' camps, and what would they have there? The Indians would share their rations with them, because the Indian ration wasn't bully beef and biscuit. It was daal and chapati and spiced, flavoursome, with chutney. And so it was much more palatable and digestible than bully beef and biscuit. So you find the Australians hanging around the Indian camps, getting chapatis, smearing them with jam and eating them. And so that there's this friendship develops. Now, one example of this, all Australians know about John Simpson, the British migrant who joined a medical unit and used his donkeys to bring wounded men down from the firing line. He worked this way for about 3 weeks. It's said, and I think truly, that John Simpson set up his camp with the Indian muleteers because they had the food, the water troughs, the ability to feed and care for his animals. So John Simpson, who is known as he's probably the most famous Australian soldier, certainly on Gallipoli, possibly ever, he lived with the Indians for the 3 weeks until on the 19th of May, he was shot by either a Turkish machine gun or a Turkish sniper. We don't know which, but he died. So that's an example of the closeness of the relationship that developed between these two groups that you would never have expected would have been friendly, much less respectful.